Hi everyone, welcome to Taji's World of Books, and this is my dark reading recommendations. Hi everyone, welcome back to Taji's World of Books, and today I am here to bring you some dark recommendations. So as I was preparing this list and trying to put everything together for you guys, I saw that I had a lot of I read a lot of dark romance, and so therefore I have a lot of recommendations for you guys. And so what I'm going to do is break this into two parts. So today will be part one, and so hopefully we'll get through as many as we can. Remember, I read books in series. I try to read the entirety of a series in one reading so that I can immerse myself in the world. So all the books that are published at the time when I sit down to read them, I will read from book one all the way through so that I can really get a feel for the characters. So as I'm recommending these dark romances, I'm going to recommend series for you, and I'll go through the reading order so you know which order to read the books in, and that will be helpful for you guys to enjoy and get the most out of the reading experience. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to start with the queen of motorcycle romances and dark romances, in my opinion, is T.M. Frazier. And the first series that I'm going to recommend is the King series. And I'll show you the books here in a moment. To start off with, he finds Doe, who has lost her memory. She's homeless, she's hungry, she's desperate. She has no memory of where she came from or how she got there. And so Jane Doe, they start to call her Doe. And she has a friend, a gal that she met that's basically a prostitute or a hooker or whatever. She's clearly drug addicted, this girl that she's found herself with. And she says, hey, let's go to this party. So she goes to the party with this other chick, and there's a guy there, and he's a notorious criminal. He just got released from prison. It's his welcome home party, and his name is King. And King is somebody whom you do not want to cross unless you prepared, and if you're going to cross him, be prepared to get your ass kicked, because he is like a serious guy. He is going to pay you back in blood, sweat, and tears and everything else, because guess what? He rules the Causeway, and King is the man, okay? And so all of the books are, the first couple of books in the series are about King and Doe's story, and then the other books in the series are other characters that you come to know and love in this series. So let's go. I'm going to have you start with The Dark Light of the Day, and this is Abby and Jake, and we get to know Jake because Jake is basically like a hitman for King and his dudes in his motorcycle club, and Jake is no joke. He's not a slacker, but for Abby, a passionate love story. So start there, then go into King, and like I said, King he's nobody to play with, he's nobody to mess with, but he's a serious dude. For Doe, it is serious. So King, and a continuation of King and Doe's story is Tyrant. Then we get into Lawless, and I like to know because I thought that Lawless was going to be more of King and Doe, and it's not. It's Bear, one of King's best friends for life. It's Bear and Thia's story. So it's a very interesting story, and it's really good. Soulless, and I gotta tell you, I was on pins and needles waiting for this conclusion of Bear and Thia, and it delivers. Then All the Rage, and this is Rage and Nolan's story, and Rage is the female protagonist in the story, and Rage is named so because she is all the rage. She is no joke, and do not take her lightly, because don't underestimate her, because she will take you out. And who doesn't love Preppy? So this is the 3 parts of Preppy's story. So this is the life and death of Samuel Clearwater, and Preppy is amazing because Preppy wears those bow ties, and we come to love him, and so you really need to read Preppy's story. So this is Preppy's part 1, part 2, and part 3. And you're getting your other books, the previous books, you're hearing about them in each of these books that I am recommending as well. So that's why it's best to read them all together. Then we've got Up in Smoke. And this is Frankie and Smoke's story. And again, Smoke is a side character in some of the other books. Now, just know, which pissed me off, either read the book or listen to the audiobook, but don't do both. Because they changed up so much of this book in the audiobook that it almost becomes like a different book. So it's very confusing. So either do the audiobook and don't look at this, or read this, but it's a mess the way that they've changed it. So then you've got 9, The Tale of Kevin Clearwater, and Kevin Clearwater is Preppy's brother. And again, he's introduced in other stories, and so you get his full story here, so definitely worth it. And then you get a nice wrap up here in King of the Causeway. And so in this story, there's a massive hurricane that's looming over the coast of Florida. And there's also a different kind of storm that's brooding in the Causeway as well. So a mysterious newcomer pops up. You're like, what's going on with this character? They're pressing the title of the Causeway. So interesting setup for future things. I'm going to continue on with this series in Pike and Pawn. So I'll tell you more about that as I get to those. So that's the end of that series. So the next series that I want to tell you about is the Dollar series. And this is written by Pepper Winters. And this is Eldridge Priest and Pimlico's story. So this story is told from multiple point of views. This story is intense. This first book has a lot of trigger warnings. So read responsibly and check out the trigger warnings. It is torture. It is sex slavery. It contains rape. It contains abuse. This is a hard book to read. And Pimlico is so strong. She's kidnapped. She basically wakes up and one day she's like an 18-year-old psychology student, and she's free and independent and living in the UK, and the next thing you know, she wakes up and she has been stolen, abducted, and she's stolen into sex slavery. And so this is then her story. In this book, this then sets up for Eldridge, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin this book. It is definitely worth a read. It is a good read, but it is hard to read. This book sets up Eldridge and Pimlico's story, which continues, and I'm not going to go into too much depth because you need to read these in order, and you need to read that one first. So then next is Dollar, Hundreds, Thousands, and Millions. And this story truly needs to be told because it talks about survival. In all the books, it talks about survival, recovering from trauma, PTSD, OCD, mental illness, one person helping another to overcome their demons, to overcome the mental illness that's plaguing them because of their experiences and the things that have happened to them, and how to live after having experienced severe trauma. And Pepper Winters just did a phenomenal job, and it's a story that needs to be told because we all know that this exists in the underbelly, but it is a hard story to tell. And then the last story that I want to talk about is Victoria Quinn's The Black Obsidian. And I gotta tell you, this story is on fire. It is amazing. It is an amazing story of Calloway and Rome. And Calloway and Rome meet one another because Rome is in a bar with her friend, and her friend basically is telling her about the story of this dude that she's dating, and he lied to her and didn't tell her he was married. And so Rome is like, what? And so she's like, yeah, this piece of crap like lied to me, and oh my God, he's sitting right over there at the bar. And so Rome is like, he's sitting at the bar and this guy is cheating on his wife and lied to her and lied to you. Show me, point him out to me. So Rome does. And she goes, he's the dude in the black shirt over there at the bar. So Rome marches her little self over to this bar, and she's like, hey, you, crack. And she smacks him across the face, and she's like, that basically is for being a piece of crap and for lying to my best friend, and you are a sorry excuse for a human being. And her friend is going, Rome, and she's like, girl, I got this, just hang on. And she's like, and another thing, and he's like, he gets his bearings, and he basically looks at her like, what? And because he's like insolent to her, she like cracks him again. And she's like, and you need to take responsibility for what you've done. And her friend is going, Rome. And she's like, girl, hang on a minute. And let me tell you another thing. And because he's like looking at her like, have you lost your mind? she hits him again, a third time. And so by this time, her friend is like, Rome! And she's like, what? She's like, this is not the guy. This is the wrong guy. And Rome is like, what? 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 And so this is not the guy that the friend was telling her about. By this time, the dude is like, because he's was sitting right next to him, has seen and heard everything that was going on. So he took off. Now Calloway, the girls were sitting on the other side of the bar, was overhearing their conversation as well. So he knew exactly what this was all about. So he's very amused by this. And he's amused by Rome because Calloway, unbeknownst to Rome, is a dom. And he does not get pushed around by anybody. So he sees this feisty, beautiful, strong woman, and he's like, I want to play with you. Not only do I want to play with you, I want to break you. And so this is then their story, and it's a BDSM consensual story about a power play dynamic where you have somebody who is very strong and independent and willful, and you have somebody else like Calloway who is a fierce dom, and he is not willing to sway or give in any inch because he knows what he wants, and he's like, and I want to break you. And it's interesting because the psychology behind the whole story is, do you give without recognizing that you're giving? And what are you willing to give up for the person whom you love, but you can't say that you love them, but you think that you love them? And so it's a powerful story, and I think it's a beautiful story, and it's a love story nonetheless. It's dark in that it has BDSM elements, but it's a love story nonetheless. So the first book in the series is Black Obsidian. Then you've got Black Diamond, Black Promise, and Black Forever. Do not sleep on those, you guys. They are amazing stories. All of them are important, heavy topics, but topics that need to be addressed nonetheless. And they all are happily ever after, and they all are dark romances. So I hope that you enjoy them as much as I did. My second installation of dark romances will come next time. But thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you so much for joining me.